All right, guys. So I want to do a little bit of little bit of a showcase here today. Okay, we're going to use Star Wars theory as the catalyst for this. So let's just start watching his video. Let's just start watching it.
Before we do begin, I do want to say that it is absolutely insane to me that they would spend $645 million on Andor Seasons 1 and 2, but they only spend about $90 million on the most popular Star Wars show characters in history of Star Wars, which is the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
I felt a great disturbance in the Force.
So right off the bat, I don't think I necessarily disagree with that. I think it is kind of weird that that they would spend so much on Andor instead of an Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I can't lie and say that I'm like upset by that because Andor is quite frankly better than than anything that that Obi-Wan Kenobi was a part of. Like Andor literally makes all of Star Wars looks like fucking Coco Melon. That is just my opinion, but it is weird, right? Like why wouldn't you spend more money on on an Obi-Wan show? If I had to find some kind of explanation, the only thing that I could think of is maybe Obi-Wan just kind of fell victim to that era of Disney when they essentially had a mandate that like Lucasfilm and Marvel had to pump out as much or like a certain amount of Disney Plus TV shows, and so they just rushed Obi-Wan to get made so that they could meet that quota. Like we know for a fact that was happening with Marvel. So that's like the main thing that I could think of, but it's weird nonetheless.
TheorySabers.com. $645 million spending on Star Wars show Andor. Is this legit? Who's the writer? Oh, good. It's not that ridiculous. Disney has revealed that the cost of making Star Wars streaming show Andor has surged to $645 million after it spent a record $290.9 million last year on filming its second season, which will debut so in total they've spent $645 million?
It's true. All of it.
On 2 seasons? I mean, I thought The Acolyte was expensive. Whew. It is the highest ever annual spending on a Star Wars production disclosed in Disney's public filings. The staggering sum eclipses the $280.7 million spent on Star Wars The Last Jedi, 11-month period to March 16, 2019. Likewise, it is higher than the $243.8 million cost of The Force Awakens, Disney's debut entry in the sci-fi saga, during the year ending November 15, 2016. Remarkably, the cost of Andor's second season is set to soar even higher, as the $290.9 million was spent during the year to November 22, 2023, which doesn't even cover all of the shoot. Filming began in November 2022, but was suspended in summer 2023 due to SAG-AFTRA strike. It resumed in January this year and wrapped the following month, though this was far from the end of the story. Principal photography was followed by a year of post-production when many of the show's lavish effects were added to the footage. Okay, so they're writing all this stuff to basically justify the high expense. The New Hope was made with, I think, 1/10 of this amount. I think it was $28 million. Something like that. Huh. New Hope cost $11 million. That's crazy. In contrast, Andor...
I don't actually know. How much does $11 million... How much is that today with like inflation and whatever? I'm not gonna pretend to to know or do the math, but I mean, yeah, it's not like $11 million in today's money.
Andor's first season was a force to be reckoned with. Its audience scored 87% on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, which, check this out, yes, some businesses pay reviewers to write reviews that can affect a movie's Rotten Tomatoes score, according to AI Overview on Google. A PR firm called Bunker 15 paid critics to write positive reviews for the 2018 movie Ophelia. The firm paid lower-level critics $50 each to write positive reviews, and also lobbied one critic to change their negative review to positive. Some businesses pay review...
Okay, this is what I wanted to talk about. Let's just do a little bit of an exercise. You know what? We'll let him finish reading this, actually.
...to write reviews that can count towards a movie's Rotten Tomato meter rating. Rotten Tomatoes takes the integrity of its scores seriously and has the right to approve, reject, include, exclude, and remove critics, reviews, and publications at any time. Reevaluate Tomato meter approved critics and outlets. Remove or suspend approval status for critics or outlets that no longer meet the criteria or breach their code of conduct. Rotten Tomatoes collects reviews from critics who publish at outlets worldwide. These reviews are rated either fresh or rotten, which contributes to a film or TV show's tomato meter score. Interesting. Never take Rotten Tomatoes for face value. Never, ever, ever, ever. And if you do, always look at the audience score. But you know what's funny is they say the audience score is what's paid bots, but not the actual tomato meter, which is their critics. And what are critics? Paid shills for the most part.
So uncivilized.
Okay. So, Star Wars theory has asserted that for the most part, critics are paid shills. His words, not mine. What does he use as his piece of evidence? He uses this Ophelia movie. I've personally never heard of it until I watched this video. He uses this Ophelia movie as his example as to how critics, for the most part, are paid shills, and because of that, you can never trust Rotten Tomatoes. Well, let's just head on over to Rotten Tomatoes, why don't we? Rotten Tomatoes. Let's just head on over. Okay, let's look up Ophelia. Let's see what is the Rotten Tomatoes score? What is the Rotten Tomatoes score that where apparently all the critics were paid off, or most for the most part, the critics are paid off shills. Let's see. Oh, it's 58%. Hold on, but I thought the critics were paid off shills. I thought for the most part they were all paid off. What happened? What happened here? What happened, Star Wars Theory? What happened to the one fucking example that you brought up? What's going on here? I thought they were paid off. Oh, but apparently the audience, you can take the audience score seriously? You know what? I'm curious. Maybe it's the case that with Ophelia, right? Maybe it's the case that because I guess it was reported, right, that some of the critics were paid off. Maybe it's the case that maybe it is the case that maybe maybe this is just Rotten Tomatoes covering their tracks. What if we have what if we just looked at another movie? Huh? What about let's say I don't know, Kraven the Hunter. Oh, I'm sorry. Most critics are paid off? Most critics are paid off shills? Well, why couldn't Sony pay them off for Kraven the Hunter? Huh? Oh, and you're telling me that you can trust the audience score? You should trust the audience score. Really? We should trust the audience scores for Kraven Hunter. Huh. Interesting. Here's the thing. The reality is that Star Wars Theory is either retarded or he's just like dishonestly bringing this whole thing up. Like, when you actually read into Ophelia, it was a movie that barely any critics even watched. And yes, what they did was they went to like lesser known critics, like critics who like don't really who are like they're like self positioned, right? They're not part of the major trades or whatever. They're not part of like your traditional critics, and they paid the money and they asked them to write a review. And that's not good. I'm not going to say that that's good, but to take that one situation and act like that's like proof that all critics everywhere, for the most part, critics are paid off shills, is again either retarded or dishonest. When for even the movie where they tried to do that with, right now it's sitting at a 58%. And at its height, the movie apparently only climbed to 62%. Wow, dude. Wow. Man, critics are really malleable. You can get that score up to a whopping 62%. So, listen. I'm going to leave you with this. Just every now and then, it's not just Star Wars Theory, obviously fake news is everywhere on the internet. Every now and then, just take some time, look into these things for yourself, right? If someone makes like broad sweeping declarative statements like most critics are paid off shills and that you should never trust the Rotten Tomatoes score at face value. But the audience scores. Oh, no. There can never be any misdoings going on with audience scores. Audiences are always right. They're always trustworthy. When someone makes big, broad, sweeping, declarative statements like that, maybe look into some of the examples that they bring up. Or maybe, just maybe, wonder why they don't bring up examples. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.